MultiVersus takes a cavalcade of iconic characters and asks, what if Batman and Shaggy could team up to fight Harley and Taz? With Warner Brothers' extensive list of properties, MultiVersus finally gives us a fighting game where you can choose from the likes of Bugs Bunny all the way to Jake the Dog. Enter Tom and Jerry, the feline rodent duo that are still managing to target one another even after being transported to this new world with new challengers. Matching their personalities to a T, the MultiVersus incarnation of these perpetually dueling frenemies is filled with wacky tricks, projectiles, and attacks that are all ultimately aimed at one another. Anybody else getting hurt is just collateral damage. Whether you love zoning and trap-based characters, are a fan of the classic slapstick cartoon, or just want to learn more about good old Jasper and Jinx, this analysis will go over my thoughts of Tom and Jerry after playing hundreds of matches with the character over the past 2 closed alphas. So let's jump right in and see what all this cat scratch is about. Chapter 1, Moveset. MultiVersus is a 2-button fighter, one for attacks and one for specials, with each button having 4 aerial and 4 grounded options. Tom and Jerry's best grounded attack is the up smash. It combos into itself or into up air. It can be charged to bounce the ball longer, and you can move Tom left and right during the attack. It doesn't really hit grounded opponents, but it can still scoop them up when the initial charge is released. Next would come his side attack, the good old Hammer Slammer. It has up to 4 hits, with the last having decent knockback, but can be cancelled early after any of the first 3. The big swing range actually makes this an even better anti-air than up attack sometimes, and the cancel can trick people, leading directly into an up smash, a Jerry projectile, or whatever else you can manage to sneak in. Neutral attack on the ground is super important because it can reflect projectiles, and on the ground you can cancel this charge into a dodge. It also has decent knockback as damage goes up, but generally you're better off with other grounded options or using the aerial version of this to reflect projectiles. While down smash may be Tom and Jerry's weakest grounded option, it's still a pretty solid move in my opinion. The crouch and forward movement of the move can definitely shift your hurt box to avoid some attacks. And I only started exploring this towards the end, but I definitely think a charged down smash can dodge cancel into side attack or other moves to start and extend combos. It also has the handy benefit of breaking armor. Next we've got the aerials, with Tom and Jerry's up and down air being some of the best in the game. Just a good strong spike with a solid hitbox that can work in neutral, extending combos, or finishing off an edge guard. With up air having pretty big horizontal range and a great sweet spot in the center that can kill fairly early with that crunch-tastic sound. Neutral air attack will be a staple of any Tom and Jerry's arsenal because of the ability to reflect projectiles, especially your own. You can't cancel this with a dodge like the grounded version, but it has a good swing range and power and is essential to fling dynamite or tennis balls at your opponent. Side aerial attack would probably be considered his weakest, but just like down smash, I still think it's a pretty solid move. The cons would be the small range, and sometimes people will fall out of the second hit. But it feels pretty fast, it breaks armor, and if you only use the first hit intentionally, I definitely think there can be some combos explored with that, like first hit of the falling side air into grounded side attack, or even up smash. Aside from down special, all of these are the same with maybe a slight difference between the ground and aerial version, so I'll treat them as one move for the most part. While Tom may be the player-controlled character, the real fireworks get started when you throw Jerry into the mix. Literally, that's what your neutral special is, just throwing Jerry into the mix with no regard for who's in his path. This is Tom and Jerry's best attack in my opinion. Use it in neutral to start an offensive sequence. Make some Jerry snipes to destroy recovering opponents, or just hold the arm extended to bring fear into their hearts. You can cancel the aerial or grounded version with the dodge, which is super necessary since you can't turn it all the way around if you're facing the wrong way. And when Jerry is shot out onto the field, the neutral special changes to now shoot up to 3 tennis balls with the cooldown. The balls do just 1 damage with no knockback if they come into contact with enemies, but a good swing from Tom's racket will juice them up good. In addition to the tennis balls, pressing an attack while Jerry is on the field will cause him to shoot a champagne cork a short distance. Jerry only has 4 shots each time he's out there, but it's great for protecting him when you're at a distance or making sneaky combo extensions. And yes, Tom can hit the cork with his tennis racket. Lastly, in teams, if a teammate comes into contact with Jerry, then Jerry will attach to them. This gives the teammate more damage on their attacks, as well as benefits of your moves that target Jerry like the tennis balls now targeting your teammate. If Jerry gets killed by an enemy or ends up off stage, he's got quite a decent cooldown until he comes back. And without Jerry, the overall kit of Tom and Jerry is only half complete. Seriously, like, Tom is kinda mid-tier with no Jerry. Your up special is the only other move that can send Jerry out from Tom, and in my opinion is super underutilized. The grounded version lets you control Jerry while Tom stays put, and the aerial version will kick the Jerry rocket a bit upward and at a horizontal angle. The grounded version of this move is super strong, and it's great to just mix it in at weird intervals to keep your opponent hesitant to approach, because they might explode if they do. The aerial version is weaker, but still great at keeping up a juggle after some up airs and can kill off the top if you hit it, as well as being a pretty solid angle to defend yourself when recovering. When Jerry is on the field, up special will shoot a rocket that homes in on Jerry or go straight up if Jerry is dead. Side special whips out Tom's sturdy stick. That's right, his fishing pole. This move is honestly one of my favorites of the character, but definitely is not something you can just spam often. The startup takes quite a bit of time. You've got to really explore the drift to have good control of the rod's placement, and the rod only has a hitbox when it's sent out and specifically when you let go of the button to reel it in, but not during the entire reel in process. However, this move is just so vital to good Tom and Jerry play. It's a great momentum stall / shifter when you get sent far, and it can lead to some wonderful recoveries or edgeguard reversals. It punishes people hard if you make a read on them going high, and has surprising power the further it goes. It will also help collect Jerry back to you if it hits him at any time during the attack, so it's super useful for retrieving Jerry and keeping up your projectile pressure. Down special on the ground is a simple mouse trap. Enemy touches it, they get hurt and sent upwards. The trap itself can be destroyed by a lot of stuff, but it's still a super useful part of the kit that gives you an additional trick to play with, and can lead into kills or even kill on its own at high enough percents. The aerial version of down special is probably the second best move Tom and Jerry have, after the slingshot. Dynamite is almost akin to Snake's grenades in Smash, where it comes out pretty fast and can help combo break. And it's great for switching up your movement and stalling a bit just like the fishing rod. Combined with the perk that makes a hit dynamite turn into 3, and you've got that patented T&J neutral of jumping around, dropping dynamite, and racketing it into your opponent. Although the hitbox is a little jank or overpowered in the alpha, even with some nerfs, I expect this to always be a core part of Tom and Jerry's game plan. So definitely get used to that flow of when to jump, when to hit the racket, when to put that dynamite out, or let the opponent fall into the dynamite. Chapter 2. Perks. Along with your core moveset, MultiVersus introduces a variety of cosmetics to customize your layout, as well as perks that absolutely affect the gameplay. As of this alpha, each character has 4 perk slots, with 1 major perk and 3 side perks. The major perk is, well, pretty major, as it will actually tweak some of your own moveset. Honestly, I tried the fishing rod perk a little in the second alpha, but strictly played triple dynamite in the third. It's just factually better right now, and there almost seems to be no upside to choosing the fishing perk. Hopefully they buff the fishing rod perk instead of nerfing dynamite, although I honestly expect a little bit of both. With the 3 side perks, however, you have options for a ton of combinations, and actually a lot are really solid. I'm sure there will be some perk balancing for the open beta, as things like projectile gray health and ice fire projectile bonuses felt a little too strong, as well as the triple jump that everyone kinda takes. Some perks that affect your cooldown time also seem to be bugged, especially with Tom and Jerry, leading to Jerry's going the wrong way or getting too many Jerry's and being able to use the move when you shouldn't be able to. I personally mainly use the fire and ice perk as well as the debuff damage time, and even without the bugginess of them, I would still probably choose those 3. But there are tons of options to experiment with, and I can only imagine the perk system growing deeper from here. Chapter 3, Closing Thoughts. To give Tom and Jerry a final scorecard after my time with them, I'd solidly put this character in the top tier. Definitely a top 5 character in its current form in both 1v1 and 2v2 modes, in my opinion. Positives would include a variety of projectiles and options to keep opponents guessing, big up and down aerial hitboxes, reflector to deal with opposing zoners, a high skill ceiling with creativity for projectile setups, but fairly easy to pick up and play in general, and they benefit most teammates or team compositions. Negatives to include would be trickier recovery that can take a little getting used to, difficulty dealing with intense rushdown characters that don't give you space. Managing your cooldowns can be tricky, and Tom without Jerry is a solid amount worse of a character. And lastly, they currently have some buggy issues. Tom and Jerry could be your character if you enjoy zoning and playing with a bunch of traps, don't mind being the more supportive role in doubles, or you just love those cat and mouse hijinks. Step final. Who wins? So, who truly is the victor between 1 billion lions and one of every Pokemon? The answer is always cats. Doubt them if you must, but any player looking into MultiVersus will greatly benefit from understanding Tom and Jerry and how to deal with zoning in this game. What characters are you excited to play in MultiVersus or hope to see appear in the future? Leave a comment below with your predictions for MultiVersus. And if you enjoyed this overview, liking the video and subscribing to the channel definitely helps a bunch. Until next time though, remember to keep it gooey. Oh, time is in drought. Oh, time is in drought. Every single day, oh, you can live them large. Oh, time is in drought. Time is in drought. Every single day, they are living large. Time is in drought.